This
for
conference
college.
will now be recorded.
Okay. So I think today I'm just gonna kind of talk about my experience a little bit in high school, and then maybe coming here and what I did, what kind of opportunities I encountered during college, and then why I kind of chose to do a PhD maybe, and just different influences over the years, and maybe like kind of a little bit about applications and scholarship applications. And if anyone has any questions, you can just like talk in the chat or just like talk. Okay, so okay, so I went to high school in Beijing and went to Harrow International School, Beijing. So I did like kind of the British curriculum there, which is A levels. So I started to, I was like interested in art growing up. I wanted to be like a designer or like an illustrator. But then like during high school, I kind of studied biology more in depth, like studying the molecular side of biology. And I started to get more interested in that. And I thought I should like go down this career path. So I heard the previous presentation, and then I realized how much like she was going into how much she knew about biology already as a high school student, but I didn't know that much until maybe much later in high school. So in the end, like my last 2 years, I studied we studied like 4 subjects. The second to last year, like year 11, so I did art, biology, chemistry, and maths. And the last year I dropped art and I was just doing biology, chemistry, and maths. So I was pretty interested in studying diseases and maybe like kind of helping patients. So I was interested in maybe being a pre-med for college. So when I applied for college, I was really looking for somewhere I can have a strong biology education and be a pre-med student and apply for medical school. So I was like initially choosing between UCSC and another liberal arts college, and both had like pretty good biology curriculum and was like ranked really high in biology. But I chose UCSC because of the amount of opportunities around campus, and there's a lot of biotech and startups around here and different pharmaceutical companies. As well, like the environment would be really good and just the amount of opportunities available. And that turned out to be a very kind of played a huge part in what I kind of chose to do. And just going to do PhD. After I came here, I realized that I didn't expect this before I came here, and also really like the amount of opportunities available here really helped like to build connections in general. So I don't know how many of you are maybe live in San Diego or where you guys are from, but so we have like a really cool library building at UCSC, which is shown in the picture in the middle. And just wanted to add how close our campus is to the ocean. So that's like the Gaizo Library there, and so the School of Medicine and Bioengineering and the Jacobs Engineering Hall. We're really close to the ocean. There's all beaches in San Diego, and I love the weather here too, which I didn't know before I came either. Okay, so when I first came to college, I think I'll just kind of go through some of the different experiences I had during college and some of the challenges and things that might be useful to know, which I didn't know before I came. So I guess for me, one of the challenges is definitely just coming to a different country, which probably don't apply to everyone here. But I think for the first couple of years in college, it's very helpful to try a lot of different things, because sometimes I think in high school you might like think you are sure about a certain path, or like you think you um, already know a field really well and you're sure you want to do that, but sometimes you realize actually it's not what you expected, which is kind of what happened with me. And also I think just the amount of exposure you get after you come to college, things that you can learn and see is like just much more than in high school. So it's really good to explore different things, and you can join different kind of student organizations and just get into different internships or just take different classes during your first couple of years. Those are all really good, and to really realize what you're really interested in, and you can really commit to it after that. And so I definitely, during my first year, I joined a bunch of orgs related to volunteering because I was interested in, I was being a pre-med, I was a pre-med back then, and then so I joined student orgs about volunteering in hospitals, and I also joined the research lab on campus in the School of Medicine my first year to, because I know research was like helping with the med school applications too. So but then through that experience, oh, I also like started shadowing a physician like the summer after my first year. And then through those experiences, I sort of like realized maybe being a physician or being a doctor is not what I have expected or thought of doing in high school. So, and I felt like I was actually more inclined to the research side of things, like I liked what the work is like in the lab. So I decided to actually to stop being a pre-med student and then actually maybe go into a PhD oriented sort of path. So that's kind of how after experiencing different experiences actually firsthand, I realized maybe what I thought of in the beginning is not what I really wanted. And I see a lot of this happening with people around me too. Like a lot of my roommates and friends in college, they initially, some of them are not sure at all when they came what they wanted to do. And then some of them are more sure, but then during the first year, I think a lot of people found new things they're interested in or realized things. So I think that's definitely really helpful during the first couple of years to try different classes. And another thing I wanted to talk about is just double majoring. So as I mentioned in the beginning, I double major in biochemistry, cell biology, and art history. So I didn't initially double major. I just entered UCSC as a biochemistry and cell biology major. But I've always been really interested in art, and after a while, I just realized, even though we all talk about college as it takes 4 years, and I thought it would be really like tightly packed classes all the way from like first year to fourth year, sort of. But then after I kind of looked through the curriculums and the courses, I realized it's kind of actually, if I take the normal amount of class from my first quarter onwards, I can really like finish pretty easily, like within 3 years. So, and then I was pretty decided to go on a career that's like biology related, some kind of research or things like that. So I realized maybe this is my last chance to really do some kind of art related thing more seriously. So I just decided maybe I'll double major in art history, because like a studio art major is like taking too much time and too time consuming for me to actually do double majors. But with art history, it's kind of pretty possible. So I started double majoring like my second year, like first quarter of my second year, I think. And there's actually a lot of definitely pretty challenging, because as these two majors are so different, I had to learn a lot of really new things, and especially just the reading and writing part of art history was really challenging for me in the beginning. But another thing is that definitely if I when I was double majoring, when I'm double majoring, it's like taking a lot more of my time, which I could have spent maybe just working more in my lab or just doing more student org activities or just like more free time for me. But I just like kind of spend more time on everything. So during my second year to third year, I was like really busy all the time and just doing both of my majors courses and like working in labs and volunteering at places and things like that. But I think it's pretty rewarding because I think the writing part of our history has really helped me a lot to write better and like form better arguments because I think sometimes I didn't realize, like at least in the beginning of my college life, how important writing can be for biology, because in the end, when you publish your data or like you write grants for research, it's all like kind of goes into writing a good, convincing like thesis and argument, and that really, I don't think the undergrad level like curriculum helps you build those skills for like a science major, but it's actually very important, and I think that really helped me. So just writing well and reading like well. And that really helped me in terms of like taking the GRE too. So I had to take GRE for my applications for grad school, and so the kind of the reading vocabulary part of it, a lot of science major students are not that good at it, but it turned out to be pretty easy for me because of how much I read for my other major. And I think that that has been an advantage from double majoring. But I think the GRE is like a lot of schools, it's becoming more optional for at least PhD applications, so it might not be that helpful for you guys in the future. And I also kind of wanted to go into joining student orgs and just participating in student org activities through college. So student orgs has been a big part of my college experience. So I was in a bunch of different orgs my first year. A lot of them like related to volunteering kind of organizations. And then there was one that I stayed in the org from basically my first week of college until now. And that has been a really helpful experience. So the org is kind of raising awareness for Asian communities in terms of cancer, different types of cancer, particularly maybe like breast cancer. And then we're just raising awareness to get people to go to get their mammograms. And we also have other cancers in different modules. So I was in that work for so long that I had time to kind of participate in different roles in the organization, like from just a general member and then going up into more leadership and officer positions. And also I had the opportunity to kind of like initiate my own maybe programs inside the org. And so because of that, I got to know a lot of people really well. And also usually student orgs have a faculty mentor sort of, and she knows me pretty well. And then she's very involved in the org activities. So we kind of go to potlucks at her house every quarter. And I think that has really helped in terms of my application, and when you definitely need a lot of like letter of recommendations from different faculty members, and then she really could write a good convincing letter about how I kind of grew as a student in this organization. And I think that really contributed to my scholarship applications as a character reference to talk about my leadership skills. And I also have organized my own org. I'm just gonna go back to this. So I have my own org called a bio club. So you can see the logo at the top right. I started this org around the second year of my college experience. So I the org is basically a journal club that's for undergrads. So we come together and then we read a paper, a scientific publication beforehand, and then one person would kind of lead the discussion, and then we would talk about this paper, what they did, what kind of hypothesis, what experiments they did to test that hypothesis, and then we would discuss different aspects of it, and we can help each other understand the paper better. So I kind of thought about starting this org because I was in a lab starting my first year, and I realized as an undergrad in a lab, sometimes it's really hard to understand everything and read all the relevant literature. And even though you can ask the PI or postdocs or just graduate students, sometimes they can't be that helpful in every aspect, and it's better to just discuss something with peers that kind of have the same level of understanding as you maybe, and to walk through different things together, and just sharing the experience of going into research as an undergrad. I think initially there's a lot of things that I did not know and I wanted to, and the experience is all like pretty overwhelming for a while. So it's really good to kind of share that with other students going through the same thing. So that's how I kind of decided to start the org. And just getting into reading literature in general is very helpful too. And I basically kind of talked to some of my friends, and I realized some of them have similar ideas, so we decided to start a org. And it was at first was really challenging because of how big the campus at UCSC is. It's hard to kind of recruit everyone into this, and just getting people participating because of how people are really, really busy and they don't want to add more stuff to what they already have. But over time, we kind of accumulate more people, and that it has been a really good experience because just the skills going to organizing something like this is really great. And also, I met a lot of people through this work and like maintain and establish a lot of good connections. Like just friends, other students who are interested in the same field or passionate about the similar things, and also faculty who we interacted with to help us organize and also give some talks, and those are really good connections that I built through organizing this club. And I think that the organizing this is also pretty a part of my scholarship application for the Gates Cambridge scholarship, and I think it also helped that too. So I also wanted to talk about research and just internships. So like I said, I got into joined a lab my first year of college, around the middle of my first year, I think, like winter to spring quarter-ish. And so it was a lab at the School of Medicine that was focused on developmental cardiology. So we studied how different genes are participating in the development of the heart, and we used zebrafish models because zebrafish they're kind of like transparent-ish when they are really young. So we can just like label things fluorescently, and then we can see them under a microscope and see how different proteins are involved. And that goes into regeneration of the heart too. So for zebrafish, they can actually regenerate their heart after injury. And so we can see what kind of genes are playing into that process, and that can contribute to our understanding of how maybe we can treat like people after they have a heart attack and some of their tissues get damaged. So that has been a pretty interesting experience. I definitely learned a lot of basic wet lab skills, like just from molecular cloning to like PCR and some skills involving zebrafish, raising zebrafish, and I also learned a lot about like, CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing, just producing different zebrafish lines that we can investigate. But I think the lab, even though I did definitely learn a lot of skills, I feel like when I was there, it was kind of challenging to understand the bigger picture very well because of the PI and the postdocs were not really like letting me know of those things, or just like not really sharing those ideas with me. Even if I asked them, they only give me kind of limited amount of information. And so I was in that lab for about a year and a half-ish, but I thought I wasn't really getting enough out of it because I wasn't really growing as much in the experience. I just feel like I was doing this experiment and then I maybe understand what's immediately before the experiment, immediately after, but not really how that contributes to the whole project or how that contributes to the lab as a whole. So that's something I did not understand or realize before I started at a lab in college. Because I joined the first lab that I applied to, and it wasn't really the best experience, I would say, even though I think I learned a lot of skills. I think it's definitely if you guys are looking to join labs in college, definitely talk to students who are already in the lab, especially the undergrads in the lab, and see what they say about their experience and what kind of things they're doing and what are they getting involved in. Because it's definitely really good if you get to work on specific projects that you can really follow along really well and understand really well, which is like the whole part of like applying for grad school, if you're applying to grad school, or just like talking to people about your project. That's like the most important part. And also just how well the PI and postdocs can mentor you and guide you through the research process. And that's all things that I think you should look for when you are looking for a lab, and really find a good one so that you can commit to it and like spend a lot of time in it. And really would be best if you can spend maybe the whole college time, like 4 years or like 3 years in the same lab, so you can really get a lot out of it and publish your data and really make it worth your time, basically. So after leaving that lab, I started an internship. Oh, someone posted something in chat. Is it a good idea to try to join a lab even if it consists of only grad or postdoc students? I think it depends. It can still be pretty good, but I think most of the labs I've seen usually have some undergrad, but you can definitely talk to them and see what they are willing to maybe like offer to you, sort of. Like is there a possibility that you can work on a project that will lead to publication within the time you have at the university, and what like kind of their interactions and whether that's good, and how much you can interact with the PI, if you're the only undergrad, like whether the PI can still like kind of mentor you. Those are the things like I think you should like kind of talk to them before you join. Yeah. And yeah, of course. And then so after leaving that lab, I started an internship at a pharmaceutical company in San Diego called Takeda Pharmaceuticals. So it's a pretty big company, a Japanese company that has one of its locations in San Diego. And so I joined their immunology department, and we are studying novel therapeutic targets for inflammatory bowel disease, IBD. And so I started there the summer after my second year. And actually, initially it was just like a summer internship, but I really liked my supervisor and I had a great time there during that summer. I met a lot of new other interns there, and it's been really interesting. And my supervisor really kind of taught me a lot of new things and just how to approach the projects, and I really know the bigger picture of the projects. and I could attend different meetings too, and just like know the industry of like pharmaceutical industry much better. And that has like this internship has been great because I actually after that my supervisor really wanted me to stay there after that summer. So initially I wanted to go back to academic lab after that summer just because I heard that industry experiences are not as good as academic lab experiences in terms of going to grad school. But then I just thought, oh, I really enjoy it there, so maybe I'll just like stay. So, but actually, throughout my third year, I was really like debating whether I should go back to academic lab or what should I do. Um, but then I just ended up staying all the way until now, and I did a number of different projects there and really learned a lot. And I think it's been a really great experience because I was able to get to know a lot of people at a company and see different sides of maybe working in a pharmaceutical company. And I think I really like working in industry, so it made me kind of realize more possibilities of my career choices. And also just I think I would like to maybe return to industry after grad school. So yeah, I really like the experience. And yeah, so I'll just briefly say something about applying for grad school maybe. Um, so I applied for both the UK and US, and in the end I decided to go to Cambridge for genetics. And usually the applications are around, so usually you apply, if you don't want to take a gap year, like you apply your fourth year around December, is the deadline usually. And then after that, after you submit everything, there are like interviews, and then you have to, usually in the US, if you're in the US, you actually fly to your interviews for about like 2 or 3 days, and then you talk to a bunch of people. There are a bunch of events, and then you hear back after maybe a week or two about your results. Yeah, and so if you guys have questions about that, can ask me. And is it better to have a graduate or undergraduate degree when looking for a job related to research? Yeah, so definitely it's better to have a graduate degree, which is what I realized once I started to do research. Because I feel like just after undergrad, I still feel like you have a lot of things you need to learn in terms of doing research. Like just doing very independent research is still kind of challenging after just undergrad, I think. And a lot of companies would be looking for people who have graduate degrees. And but if you are staying in academia, it's definitely very important to have graduate degrees to if you want to become a PI. Something that's basically a requirement to have a PhD, a doctorate degree. And yeah, and I think it's better to have a graduate degree to look for jobs in research. Yeah. What exactly made you think being a physician is better? Oh, okay, so actually I'm not okay. Oh, okay. So I think for me is I shadowed the doctor when I was in like around first year summer, and then I realized I think I didn't really that wasn't like what I expected. I think maybe it's because of the specialty of the doctor that wasn't what I really liked. But I think it's just the environment and just the day-to-day activity wasn't what I wanted. And I think the research side is more fascinating to me. After like doing both of them at the same time, sort of comparing them directly, is what I realized. What is something that I actually wanted to do is to maybe explore the molecular side of things more. So that's how I realized maybe I don't want to be a pre-med anymore. Yeah. Any other questions? Oh, yeah, genetics. So I've always been really interested in genetics. I think that's what I become interested in the very beginning, of like learning biology. Just I'm really fascinated about kind of how the genetic differences between individuals and how that kind of the functional effects of that. And so that's what I'm gonna research for my PhD. And uh, also just I think I like you said you're really interested in genetic engineering. I think that's definitely a really cool area, and the potential of that is just amazing. So yeah, that's something that's possible. After if I do a PhD in genetics, that's something I could get into too. So yeah, that's exciting too. What jobs within the research community can you get with a degree in genetics? Like what sort of variety is there? Hmm. So yeah, I have, I'm not completely sure, but I think actually, with a graduate degree, as long as it's kind of around the biology area, it's like different, like genetics or like biochemistry or molecular biology or something like that. Um, I think it's still very open to what kind of jobs you can get. So I don't think the difference is that much. It really depends on what project you did for your for a degree, or like just what kind of skills you acquired through the degree. So within the research community, I guess if you want to be in academia, you can try if you want to become a professor or a researcher in academia, you can become like immediately after PhD, maybe you want to be a postdoc for a while, and then and after that you can become a PI, or in terms of industry research, there's kind of you can become a scientist at a company, or if you're interested, if you found very interesting things you want to do, maybe you can start a company by yourself. And if you have a certain technique or something you want to like commercialize, sort of. So I think there are still some choices there that you can look for, and I don't think the kind of the area of the degree itself is very like limiting. Um, like I don't think I've talked to some people about because I got offers for biochemistry PhD too, and I talked to people about how that would differ from a genetics degree, and I don't think they said it's gonna be very kind of limiting my path in any way. Yeah. Oh, looking forward to the most at Cambridge. I'm pretty looking forward to their college system. They have like a bunch of I think like 30 something colleges, and each one of us joins a different college. And I think that's something, and their college life is like a huge part of the school, I think, and that's something that's very different from what I experienced, and I think that's pretty exciting. And also just this campus in general, and I don't know how, I've never visited there actually, so I don't know how things actually operate, but just like the freshness of that would be pretty exciting. Yeah. Right, yes. Yeah, I can't. I really wanted to visit. I thought I was gonna visit like maybe spring break, but that didn't happen. Is there any more questions? How do you deal with setbacks? Um, yeah, I think setbacks are definitely a huge part of being in college and things like that. But I think it's just remember your focus and then just reorient yourself towards what you want to do and think about maybe what didn't go as well as you expected, and then maybe how you can like do better next time, or whether if you don't get a chance to do better, maybe how can you move on from that. And yeah, just really, I think it's to get over it and then just do well and continue what you want to do and continue towards what you want to achieve. Oh. Okay, I don't know what happened there. What were general education requirements like? Were there any that related to your major? So at UCSD, the general education requirements differ between colleges. So there are 6 colleges that we are kind of assigned to at the beginning, and I was in Thurgood Marshall College, and the general education requirements are usually there's writing for your first year, usually pretty much like throughout your first year, and then usually like science and probably something in arts, and usually there's something related to maybe history or like kind of ethics-ish, and I think a lot of times, because as a science, like a biology major, that part is, the science part is usually fulfilled. And then because I double major, so the art part was also fulfilled. And so basically I only had the writing and a little bit of maybe the other like history part. But I think our writing program also fulfilled that because it was kind of based on American history. So yeah, that's usually how Gs are built, I think. Do you think art is often underrated? Yeah, I think like at UCSD, I think a lot of people really focuses on science and engineering kind of focus areas, and everyone thinks like the humanities or like art related things are just, people are not being serious about it at all. Like the students in those majors are not being serious about their subject. But I mean, it is, maybe it's true to some extent, because some students are, because maybe the school is more known for the science engineering subjects, but I think a lot of students in the art subjects are really doing a lot too, and there are a lot of interesting things that people in other majors don't even know about at all. And I think also a lot of the times they don't understand what is challenging in different. As a science student, I wouldn't have known what is challenging in the art major, and I would have thought, oh, it's just something like that. It's like maybe just multiple choice question exams all the time, or like they don't understand the research part of it, or yeah, just I think a lot of times they don't see those things. Yeah, of course. Is there any other questions?
Everyone, thank you so much, Olivia, for spending your valuable time to present to us. Can we all unmute our mics and give a virtual round of applause, please?
Thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you. Thanks again, Olivia, for doing this.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.